What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So this upcoming week could be very interesting, and we have a couple big data points coming out. So GDP on Thursday, then PCE on Friday. Aside from that, you also have a lot of Fed speakers pretty much starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the most part. And so again, usually Fed speakers are kind of Russian roulette a little bit. They can say anything to really disrupt the broader market, but I do feel that most of them are going to reiterate exactly what Powell has stated, that it's going to be higher for longer. Some might give some optimism about it being otherwise, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of them are just going to state that the economy is strong. So that might reassure the broader market, move higher. And then as well, this week is the last week in Q1. So of course, that should bring a whole new level of volatility because institutions will be rebalancing. And given SoundHound over the last roughly 1 month, for the most part, it is down 12% over the last 6 months, even though it is up 102%. In Q1, it has definitely gone down. I think it had a high of like $20 something, $22. So I think in essence, a lot of institutions will be buying SoundHound just to kind of level it up, right? Because SoundHound's been hit a little bit more than the broader market. So for rebalancing purposes, that should result in some buying. So something to keep in mind, there isn't anything planned for SoundHound for this upcoming week. So they did a lot of good interviews to piggyback off of the NVIDIA GTC 2025. So they definitely did do some pretty good stuff there. You can see some of the recent interviews posted on social media. So they're doing a good job of getting their name out there. I think just essentially at this stage in the game now, they just need to get the damn job done and just continue to kind of expand, grow, and then of course the stock price should appreciate over time. But as far as, like I said, for things associated to SoundHound for this week, nothing really. You have shorts. So shorts did increase a small amount on Friday, roughly 14,000 shares. 32.72% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 117.24 million shares overall are being shorted. This, because of it being heavily shorted, has prompted a lot of articles just to pretty much say that SoundHound is a potential squeeze play. And in all honesty, it could. I think at the end of the day, in order to have a squeeze, you need 4 things. It being heavily shorted, a lot of utilization, a fairly high cost to borrow is advantageous, but there's one fourth attribute that a lot of companies do typically not have, and that is a surprise catalyst. So if SoundHound was to come out this week and say, hey, we're doing a partnership, or we're expanding and doing this, for example, that could be that good catalyst to really push the broader market or SoundHound higher. So let me know your general thoughts on that, and if you think SoundHound is a squeeze. But as I've mentioned in the past, as SoundHound does kind of move towards profitability, most likely 2026, 2027, or possibly late 2027, then the stock price will more align with what happens operationally, and shorts will just naturally leave. So let me know your thoughts on that. There's one thing that I do want to bring up. A lot of people, for instance, on Reddit are bringing up how insiders are selling and that they're over it. Of course, when I started to cover SoundHound, I saw a lot of good upside potential, but I was the first one to say, hey, F the insiders. Why do they keep on selling? But I always like to be completely fair. I never like to sugarcoat things. So essentially, if we kind of look at a lot of these recent Form 4s for SoundHound, so a lot of 144s, sorry, that was submitted after hours on the 20th. If we look up one of these, for instance, it does show right over here that it was sold for tax purposes. So if they're selling transaction code S, so if they're just straight up selling, then yes, that is a very bad image. But whenever a insider, doesn't matter to the company, is selling for tax purposes, in my opinion, I think they kind of get a pass because they're not really selling just for their own benefit or whatever. They're selling for taxes. So again, I'm all for just saying, hey, F the insiders, they should stop selling, but just be aware that a lot of this selling that did occur was associated to taxes. So again, just to kind of be keep that in mind. But Looking forward into this upcoming week, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 11 to 11.50 for the options. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub roughly between 9 and 9.50. And with it closing at that 9.82, that 9.50 strike price and below all were in the money. So meaning you'll have roughly around 50,000 shares for the most part being covered by market makers. So not really all that much, so you won't be seeing any bump up in the stock price. And this is why most likely SoundHound did get suppressed throughout last week below that $10 strike price, only because market makers and shorts wouldn't want to cover this 10,000 at that 10. So again, it's all manipulation, but looking forward into this upcoming week, you're not seeing any crazy walls whatsoever. So SoundHound could, in theory, really move higher. So let me know your viewpoint on that. With it at $9.86, trading between this pivot and this S1. So 8.87 is going to be a strong support, and then 11.97 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. It's been trading within this range for a while now without touching either of them, so kind of just be aware of that. No new analyst ratings on the actual chart itself, so $9.75 is that ALMA, so it was able to close above that, showing that it wants to try to move higher. And this is a unique circumstance as well. You have the, looks like the 50 and also the 100-day moving averages kind of joined together, so $12.17 and $12.24. For whatever reason, if SoundHound is able to gain some good momentum and kind of break above that point for this week, this is where you could see a very nice aggressive push higher. But keep in mind, going into this week, that is going to be a very strong resistance. So SoundHound will really need to put their kind of A game out. Plus, we would also need some good data points coming from PCE and GDP to really justify that $12 kind of range being broken. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Do you think that we're going to be seeing 13 this week, or do you think that we're going to be kind of pulling back and retesting the 8? One thing as well, just to bring up, in my opinion, I think it's already priced in, but you're starting to see over this weekend a lot of people starting to kind of say that Friday or just this week we're going to sell off, because Trump did state that April the 2nd is going to be when all the tariffs do start. So I think fear is somewhat starting to increase associated to that, but in my opinion, I think the market is already priced all that in. And as what Powell even recently stated, he said we just have to wait and see. A lot of people can speculate on what the tariffs are going to result in, whether it be stagflation, higher inflation. Some people are even saying deflation, but like, we just have to kind of watch the data at this stage in the game. So again, if you believe in a company, whether it be SoundHound or whatever other stocks are out there, if you believe in them, take advantage, buy the dip, do what you need to do. But yeah, it's I think there's just a lot of fear tactics out there, and maybe it's for their own benefit just to buy stocks and kind of spread fear. But yeah, just be kind of aware that this week you might start to see some chatter about tariffs once again. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.